And good evening. Welcome to Campaign Notes. I'm Trev. Now, episode 3. Wow. Okay. Yeah. As usual, the products and publishers that I will be naming in the course of this episode, I don't have any connections to. I don't get reimbursed by them. I have no professional connection with TriTech Games anymore. So, yeah. Now that we got that out of the way, tonight's episode, iconic characters of mine. Now, I'm also going to put in tips on how to make characters that are long lasting, that you can use through different campaigns. And especially if you have a network like a game network that allows travel between different worlds, like Fringeworthy or Palladium's books Rifts, their Megaverse, you can bounce these characters around and have them in different universes and say, oh, yeah, yeah. And your players can go, oh, yeah, you're that character from, 3 campaigns ago on that one night. Yeah, glad you brought him back. So, yes, I have many of them. Ones that have stood the test of time. Some of these characters I've been using now for, oh, God, 30 years. First time one of them came up. And I decided to bring it back. As a matter of fact, that is the first one I'm going to talk about. Now, he is currently in my Friday game, which is the Hardwired Hinterlands game. His name is John Thomas Messier, also known as JT. Now, this character originally came about for a Robotech First Edition Palladium Books game that my friend Jerry Gentry ran, and it didn't go to end. We just dropped out of it after a while and did something else. But JT was what they call a biomaintenance engineer in Robotech. In other words, he was the guy that kept all the mecha and protoculture powered things running. Now, the campaign was, it was a Sentinels campaign, so it was that era around the time of Southern Cross, but it was out in space. If you know your Robotech, you know around what time it was. It was like from 2022 to like 2037 or whatever, and the RDF was planet hopping, and they met up with the Invid for the first time, and yeah. Comic books abound were made about the Sentinels era. So anyways, John Thomas and 4 or 5 other characters, and it was my original gaming group from 30 years ago. I don't remember the other characters, I just remember JT. What it was they happened upon, they came to explore a signal that was emanating from deep space. We're talking out in the local group, hundreds of light years from Earth. And it was something Jerry came up with, a sextet of domes of various biomes. So you had, and these were each miles long, so this thing was probably almost 10 miles across. 5 outer ones and 1 inner. And you had desert, mountain, swamp, jungle, Arctic, and I think plains. And so, from what I remember to the campaign, JT, the others were exploring. JT was trying to, keep this stuff together because it was a failing system and it was a Robotech Masters artifact. It was something they had built as part of their empire to either be a habitat or for Zentradi, their giant soldiers, to train in various climates. As I said, the character in the campaign only lasted a few sessions. I mean, it didn't even last 6 months. We had a lot of campaign starts, and after a while, we just fell out of love. And we were like, eh. And it's nothing against my friend Jerry. He's a fantastic gamer. It's just, a lot of times, the other players, there are many campaigns that Jerry started, and they were just like, I wanted to keep going with it. I wanted to explore this character more, and I thought, the character just served as a footnote memory. Then I came up with the Hardwire Hinterland campaign that I'm now running. I've been now running it for a year. And this is the one involving Fur, Carrie, Gina Jones, and now Courtney and Carrie's friend from Maryland Renfest, Beth. So you have these people that were drawn from across the multiverse to the hinterland, and of course the thing with that game from TriTech Games, You make a left turn. You're doing something, you make a left turn, you end up in this artificial realm with perfectly square 200-mile islands in an endless sea. And so, how I had JT was I brought up another old character of mine that I've used, another iconic character, Dr. Alexander Mordigian. He's usually a scientist, or in fantasy games, he's a wizard. And so what I said, his backstory was JT had come back from the Sentinels campaign. And the other characters that were in that campaign, JT was left behind because they needed technical help. They found, wait a minute, you had this massive mega structure of robotechnology. Okay, your friends are going to go try to save Earth. And of course, Invid, there were two waves of REF. Well, no, it'd actually be United Earth Reclamation Force. Technically, it would have been the UERF. Lieutenant Messier was left behind and basically got to watch these other 5 friends of his. They got, Brand of Brothers type stuff, die as the Invid just in their numbers. And Invid are little slug beings anywhere from 3 to 5 feet tall and varying degrees of sentience and sapience. That their goddess, a hive mind goddess known as the Regis, out in space they were fighting the Regent. He was more masculine, warlike. The Regis was more feminine, and I wish to evolve. We both wish to protect our race, but I wish to try to find the perfect evolutionary form for it. The Regent just wanted war. So these Invid just were in the billions, and every time Earth, 2 times Earth came, yes, we have our latest technology in the fleet, and the Invid would just wipe them out sheer numbers. Shock and awe, swarm tactics, just, you'd have these massive clam ships that would just open up like this, and Invid, they would just fly out and just swarm you and just rip you apart. JT had to watch that. So later, John Thomas Messier, Lieutenant, it was found out that Mordigian came back and he was performing genetic experiments using genetic material from the Sentinels races. The Carbarians, the Praxians, the Spherians, the Paratonians, the Garuns. And so they did sort of an AT type, okay, Lieutenant, we're going to need you to hack into Dr. Mordigian's files and get the proof we need. Of course, this is a black op. We're not going to put this on the records. It's not going to be paperwork. And it was kind of like the A-Team. Yeah, they got Mordigian, but they screwed over JT because, there's no... You hacked into what were government files, private files, which, we found out they were a lie, but you still hacked it. And he's like, I'm getting screwed here. He lost his commission, got thrown the brig for a while. Well, something happened on Moonbase Alice, and JT found the chance to escape. So did Mordigian. Because they were both incarcerated, both for their crimes. JT hopped on a cyclone, got in the armor, drove through Moonbase Alice. He was trying to find a place to hide, maybe cop a shuttle, and maybe, sneak to Earth. And he made that left turn in Moonbase Alice and ended up on the shores of New Akron in his cycle. Now, once he got there, he met the other characters in the campaign, and the powers that be ended up terraforming an area and putting a REF base from about 15 years before in the middle of this forest, and all of a sudden it's a rolling field, and there's the hill with the big door that would slide up like this where mech can come out, and it was all underground. So I gave them a base to work with. JT knew what to do with it. He created the United Hinterland Defense Force, an entity separate from Interpol, which was the inter-environ police agency that Hardwire Hinterland has. And of course, there was enough stuff there for him to start piecing together mechs. And so he had a small force of mechs and everything, and since then he's developed trade where now, I've got a fully stocked base here, and we protect the hinterland from all the other stuff that has come in due to, again, I made the hinterland a virtual realm. Yes, it is in a Dyson sphere. That much is canon. Richard Tahoka put that in there before he passed. But my discussions on the podcast I'm on, Gaming on the Frontier podcast, is what if it's a virtual realm? What if you go there and you were digitized and you're now a ghost in the machine in this Matryoshka brain? Again, I think I discussed this in episode 1. A Matryoshka brain is a Dyson sphere that has a supercomputer in it, and it's powered by the sun that the Dyson sphere envelops. So you have limitless power. It's a star. So what happened, how I had it, was the reason why all these problems were appearing and JT and the other PCs were brought in was the trinary system, Alpha Proxima Centauri, all went supernova. That radiation, 4.5 light years away, damaged the Matryoshka brain. So glitches were coming into this giant Termeller megastructure, and it was starting to pull in Chitons and Invid and Sentinels and all these bad things from all across the multiverse. And so we had the PCs. Now, my next character I'm talking about, Schwad, is now in this. And he refers to the PC. Oh, yeah, you're the Patches. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, by the way, this is a computer construct. You all were digitized and you're now digital forms. But I still need, whoever made, you were called to come here. We had our lives. You have another one now. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but we brought things that we brought people and all of you together to fight these things that were drawn here because we saw they came from your worlds. And they're all like, son. So JT now is running a full-fledged military, a Robotech base. Because we have the characters that I mentioned in episode 1, Wittershins, Lear Balakwa, Dr. Orla Tobin and her symbiotically linked German Shepherd Boris, 100 Eyes, as in Marco Polo's 100 Eyes from Netflix, Sarah James, who is a dimensional analog of a previous character that Courtney ran named IMA, half-elf swashbuckler. She was in the Star Trek campaign, and of course, magic was involved. My Kelvin universe, that's in Portals 3? Yeah, I added magic, and that was from previous campaign. So now we have all these characters together, plus the Spider Monkey Ace, who'd been there for 200 years. So, as I said, he's a mixture of Frank Rizzo from the Jerky Boys and Rocket Raccoon. And it's along the lines of, yeah, listen here, Jerky, you better put that flange on that DC-3 or I'll wrap this monkey wrench around your head there, Jerky. I don't care if it needs a half. I get the 3/4, it'll last better, So Ace being annoying. So JT is now he was the high-tech guy until Schwad came along. The stuff that, Schwad has makes JT look like, his stuff, robotechnology look like Tinker Toys. So I'm also role-playing this for the characters of JT's I'm going to say the word butthurt, because he thought he was the tech big boy on the block, and now here comes this guy. Yeah, I grew this device that can transport people across dimensions. My people did this. And JT's just like, just not having it. He's starting to, the other players are starting to notice I'm playing it, that JT's getting butthurt over no longer having tech as his contribution to the group. So yes, John Thomas Messier, this character has been around in my head for like 30 years. It was from a failed Robotech First Edition Palladium Books campaign that my buddy Jerry Gentry ran. And I just evolved the character. I said, okay, how am I going to get him from that point where we left off to this point? Oh, okay, yeah, well, they made it back to Earth. They were in the first Invid Assault. He was there, and he watched his other friends die. So he did this. And Mordigian, what it was, I got it where he appeared, because there's two hinterlands. There's a down hinterland, then there's an up hinterland with like a 400-mile stretch, and then a micro layer of helium that goes under microfusion, and that's daylight. There's no sun or moon or stars in the hinterlands. If you're seeing stars, it's the lights from the up hinterland. Mordigian was there 50 years before JT got there, and so it was along the lines of, yes, Sergeant, I have since worked through my feelings about our tete-a-tete there on Moon Base Alice. I don't want to kill you anymore. As a matter of fact, I wish to help you because the Invid are here. And through Mordigian, I came up with, oh yeah, by the way, I figured it out. We know that this realm has been created. We're digital. We are now ghosts of the machine. Of course, we have all these people who come from, oh God, let's see, Industrial Revolution, Salem Witch era, and Carrie's homebrew character is very early Renaissance, maybe 1400 sec. And you're trying to explain that your electrical impulse is in a massive machine. And so, yeah, it's just, we're ghosts. In this particular realm, we are nothing but ghosts. So, it just, with JT, there was a lot of love for this character. And, of course, I don't play with my original group again. We're all in our, early to mid to late 50s now. And we've lost 3 of our members. So, I wanted to bring this character back, and it was a good thing to bring him back, give him some agency, bring love back to that character. Like I said in the first episode, save your notes. I'm using stuff from 30 years ago that I've given new life. No idea that you come up with as a game master is ever truly dead. Even if you get it out there to a gaming group and it doesn't work out, it can be brought back later on. That's my Sentinels of Justice campaign for my Saturday game. That was from a one-shot at Adrian College over 10 years ago. And I made it now where this campaign's been going on for, like 14 months now we've been doing this campaign, and we've added a couple new people since then. And so, bringing this character back from 30 years ago for me was great because I got to explore the character more. And it was just fun extrapolating on that little sliver of a campaign that was done. And you always gotta, their stories are never completely done. A particular topic in a story may be done, but a character that you make, unless the character dies through misfortune or misadventure, the character will go on in some way. Even if a character does die, first of all, it's role-playing. They can be brought back through many plot devices, spells, tech, whatever. But you have just this character just was eating at the back of my brain going, okay, he's there. You'll find a way to bring him back somehow. And thankfully, because I use TriTech Games so much, having been an employee, all of my games are tied into the TriTech metaverse that Richard Tahalka created, or as I jokingly called the Tahalkaverse. And so I said, I want to bring this character back. There's something about it. It's one of those things you want to do something. Once you do it, you get it out of your system. And however this campaign ends up, JT's story will have been completed. Hello, Fur. JT's story. Fur, my girlfriend, who plays Hunter Eyes in this campaign. And so because JT also has electrokinesis, so now he can control computers and his tech and everything. And so the running joke is that because JT's not a hand-to-hand fighter, he's a grease monkey. He can pick up a wrench, sure, and, whoop a character's ass, but in hand-to-hand, he's ineffective. Hunter Eyes has now been off-camera training JT in hand-to-hand. Problem is, we haven't had a chance to do a good old-fashioned brawl because we're using all ranged attacks. I got to get the game where we can't really set off a big range attack. Yeah, it's just a knockdown, drag-out brawl. Now, Fur's character, Hunter Eyes, he's a melee attacker. I mean, he's got a few things that give him some range, but we need to just have a good old-fashioned brawl and see how JT works with. He might be able to do something like an electrically charged fist because of his electrokinesis. So that would be interesting to see. And it would be further progressing John Thomas Messier as a character, as a concept, and where you have... Fur just put, that's my expertise. Yeah. Well, as I said, that's why off-camera we said Hunter Eyes was training JT, and now in JT's base, in the gymnasium training area, there is the area that has been made up to look Asian. an Asian, a Kwun, a studio, whatever you want, a dojo, whatever you want to call it. I forget, because Kwun is Korean, dojo is Japanese. I forget what the Chinese term for a martial arts studio would be. And so JT has made 100 Eyes because they're, what was it? The Khan's Master of Martial Affairs. 100 Eyes was training Kublai Khan's progeny in Kung Fu. It's not that 100 Eyes now sees JT as his new Khan, but it's just like, okay, the people I have coming into this that I've gotten, they need to learn how to fight. That is your wheelhouse, Sifu. Have at it. This area is yours. And so JT will be sitting there, and I will have him. Yeah, why is Colonel Messi eating popcorn? Oh, you'll see. And there are a few times, 100 Eyes, you're an old blind, you're an old Chinese guy, and of course, holding him down with one finger, and he's tied like a pretzel. And JT's just there eating the popcorn and said, this is why I have him here. You are to respect him more than you respect me when you're on that mat. Yes, sir. So JT is that connecting for all the characters. With Widdershins, who does magic, Widdershins and JT are constantly bickering about the pros and cons of magic versus technology. Yeah, I've got this lighter. Oh, I have this little globe. Throws it on a pile of wood. You got a campfire. And JT's like, this bitch. Lear transferred over from His Dark Materials world without his daemon. Therefore, JT had to make a throat mic and like Google glasses so Lear now can at least communicate with JT, other than the collective that Boris has because it's telepathic. The Dragon Express. Yeah, that's what we call Widdershins, because there are some people who do not want to fly in the DC-3 or in the Horizon T shuttle that JT cobbled together. So 100 Eyes, Lear, 100 Eyes and Lear usually ride on the back of Widdershins in dragon form. Everyone else is in the DC-3. JT's there in his alpha. So, but JT has this connection to all the characters, and I wouldn't say so much he's the glue that binds the team, but it's his base, his mech that are some of the heavy-hitting things, and JT's tech. The general residing tech of the hinterland is sort of mid-1930s. And that was just something that Rich put in to give that sort of pulp, kind of cargo cult DC-3 feel. And with talking animals, you're looking... the Hardwired Hinterland is kind of a mixture of kind of Indiana Jones, the old Stephen Collins series. He was in Seventh Heaven. Before that, he was in Tales of the Gold Monkey. There was an old Bruce Boxleitner series on CBS called Bring 'Em Back Alive with Jake Cutter. And then Disney's Tailspin, where you had, it was that, Baloo and the little bear flying around. Shere Khan was there as a businessman. Louis ran the bar, these characters from the Jungle Book. So you had, it's that pulp cargo cult kind of feel where one environment could be, 1930s Ohio cities, and another one is you're in the environs like an atoll, and you've got hundreds of little islands in it, and it's sort of that tiki kind of culture. Etowongo is what they call it. So yeah, JT sort of kind of is the glue that binds everybody together because he has a connection with each of them. Orla, the mutant with shadow and empath powers, is the one teaching JT how to use his powers because, oh yeah, I had these headaches all the time, and they didn't know what caused them, and now here I got these. It was your mutation coming in once you got here. The stress of transferring here, and I played an adventure where JT's powers started getting out of control, and they're all trying to calm him down. And since then, he's learned various applications. That's his link with Orla. Orla's character concept was from the original X-Men movie universe, where yeah, I met both Xavier and Magneto, and Stryker experimented on me there at Alkali Lake in Canada. And so yeah, there's just this connection. And of course, JT and Ace, they're both deep down grease monkeys. Ace a little more so, considering he's a monkey. And I had this where I'm going to give Ace one of JT's gallons, and all of a sudden, he's holding it like this and fire. You little weasel, did you raid my armory? Yeah, shut up there. I need something to protect myself. So JT has this bond with all of these characters, And I mean, I see him as the glue that binds everything together because, again, it's his base where they're all staying, and all these modern conveniences were granted by the base just being dropped there the day after they got there, due to the creatures that will just, oh yeah, in the middle of this swamp, we're going to put a Tim Hortons from 1990 here. The Restorkis and the Maintenance are creatures in the hinterland setting that will just do this, and that's where the cities came from. Like, yeah, we have New Akron, which is the center of airplane and air travel commerce and everything here in the hinterlands, and on this island we have this and over here. And so Rich made it to where you would do multiple trading among these environs. So yeah, it's kind of a, with JT, I had to bring love back to that character. I put time into it. And when you do a character, it's like, as with anything you write, it's like a kid. You want to see it grow, you want to see it prosper, you don't want to see it languish. And with JT now, it's this particular character is getting more love than it ever did back 30 years ago. And just, I brought the little bits from Jerry's campaign that he had into this. Is like, yeah, there was a set of biomes that I was in. I stayed in the tubes and the crawl spaces there because I don't like nature. I spent most of my life on starships. I haven't been on a planet since I was 7. My parents left Earth when I was 7, and I've been on spaceships and moon bases all this time. That was the first time I'd ever been on anything natural since I was a kid. And now he's in this realm where there's trees and insects, and like, he's gotten used to it, and he's always eaten, like pre-processed food and hydroponic, oh, these are algae sticks that were growing on hydroponic. You're eating pond scum. Hey, it's tasty if you put some salt on it, okay? And so I still have JT eating normal food, and it's still, even after like 4, 5, 6 months, he's just like, this is a real hamburger made from a cow? Oh my God, this isn't like soy patty or whatever. Oh God, this is wonderful. So that's another thing I added to JT was this wonderment, despite him being so technologically gifted. Simple things like real food, like, yeah, this is an apple. Actually grown from a tree. It wasn't synthesized, it wasn't grown in a hydroponics lab. This is of an honest to God tree. Oh my God, this is wonderful. Oh, what? This is, actual Szechuan beef. It's not coming out of an MRE. And the other, he had MREs with him because the Cyclone was fully stocked when he came, so he had like a survival kit. And they're just like, he's sitting there with a fork, water, and he's eating MRE the first night there together at campfire. You want in some of this? I'm good, thanks, really. I'd like my food to not come out of a bag, and, yeah. So, yeah, JT just, I play him with this childhood wonder of like, oh my God, this is an ice cream sundae. I've only heard of these because, you're on military ships. I mean, yeah, an army travels on its stomach. Sun Tzu, The Art of War, if you know anything, you would have read it, or at least found, a translation, like Cleary's translation is my personal favorite. That's just me. And so that's one of the rules from Sun Tzu. An army travels on its stomach. You want to have an army fight for you, you better feed them well. But it's still MREs and everything. I mean, MREs, I'm not bad-mouthing them, but then coming to the real thing, it's like, yeah, you got this stuff that's kind of apple pie, and then you go to this world where this old lady, who's probably in the hinterland, probably like 500 years old, made you a real apple pie with vanilla ice cream, and just JT scarf it down because, like, oh my God, this is real food. And so little things I've thrown in about someone who's spent 35 years in space and can't remember planetside. It was just another thing I explored, and things I didn't get to explore with this character because the campaign maybe lasted, oh God, I don't even think 6 months. I think it may have lasted 3 or 4 months. That was the one thing with Jerry, is I love him dearly. I've known the man for 40 years. Oh, let's see, 35 years. I met him when I was 19. I'm 54. Known him for 35 years, and he ran this campaign. The others just kind of, and the campaign phased out. And so this character I've had, and with the Hinterlands, I took it as soon as I came up with I want to run a Hardwire Hinterlands campaign. I've had the game for years. I've got both editions that Rich made, and I'm like, ooh, I can sit there and bring this character back and extrapolate the story and have fun with it, and I do. I have a blast with it. And he's taken his lumps because he's in a strange place, and he's dealing with magic and psi and people with superpowers, and historical figures, and just, it's like, oh my god, wait a minute, hold it, you, wait a minute, 100 eyes, wait a minute, Marco Polo 100 eyes, Kubla Khan 100 eyes, dude, it's an honor, I've read about you, you know. So yeah, that's John Thomas Messier. That's my first iconic character. And I talked about my second one, and that is Schwad. Now, Schwad is a Termelern. The Termelern are the race that made both the Hardwire Hinterland and the Fringe Paths. Now, a little bit of background on the Termelern. They made the Fringe Paths and made the Commonwealth. Millions and millions of alternate and parallel worlds brought together in harmony, and they lived as gods. And you could, you know, the Fringe Paths that you hear about in Fringeworthy, those are the Jeffries and maintenance tubes of this big system. The big system was shut down when one of their servitor races corrupted another. The Kigak were these little Deinonychus evolved creatures. Yeah, and they have sort of a voice like this, and no, you're not going to eat me. I don't taste like chicken. My buddy J.P. Haley does a really good Kigak, and it broke us up all the times he did it back on Gaming on the Frontier. So here's the Kigak and a Mellor, this shape-shifting, touch telepathic servitor race that watched other races. Oh, wait, you have either a world government, you have countries with an arsenal, you've been through a world war, you've retooled for another, but you've decided not to do it, or an equal standard of living. You no longer have classes that are like we have here, haves and have-nots. You have any one of those, the Miller comes up and says, you know, and they're watching behind the scenes for millennia. Oh, yes, I am a representative of the Commonwealth of Worlds. Yes, you have attained client status. We can give you technology that will help you get to full member status, and we will guide you. What do you mean, higher tech? How would you like to not have to deal with cancer, AIDS, and poverty, and fighting over energy sources? And we'll give you these things, and we'll give it to everybody. Bring everybody up to an equal standard of living, and help you form a world government, and then you get the full Monty of tech. So billions of worlds were together, and then the Kigak, this Mellor, when they'd been through 2 or 3 world wars, and Kigaks are generally conniving little creatures. So you have the Kigak, the Mellor was like, yes, I'm from the Commonwealth of Worlds. We would like to bring you into our Commonwealth. You were actually created by our creators, the Termelern. And the Kigaks are like, we were created by the great Kigak in the sky. No, you were created by a Termelern scientist who got his nod for his research. The Kigak realizes, like, well, where are these Termelern? We almost blew ourselves up, almost 3 times, and they just sat around and did nothing. Oh, these Mellor are in servitude. We got to be free and have our own free will. You're working for the Mellor, or you're working for the Termelern, and it seems you can't get out of it. We're going to free our brothers. And so they made a bioengineered virus which turned Mellor into killing machines that could devolve and go 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. And, they get smaller and more savage as, normal human size to something like this. Eating machines that could denude an entire planet in weeks. Like eat down to the bedrock. So the Mellor were still hiding. They were agitating, causing stuff. The Termelern, as the Commonwealth fought back, the Termelern were stonewalling, like, I don't know why, these Mellor are attacking us. I don't know what's going on. And when they found out it was the Termelern that made both these races, the Termelern got kicked out of their own Commonwealth. The Termelern fled. Their planet, they had to destroy it because the Mellor took it over, and so there was this massive diaspora. Except for a few engineers. Now, some were from T Prime, Termelern Prime, their home world, the one that started the Fringe Paths, and others were alternate Termelern. Schwad is a prime Termelern engineer. He's over 3,500 years old. Imagine something like the Doctor. Infinitely smart, infinitely long-lived. The running joke is that he has 6 doctorates and a master's in literature. Master's in literature, yes, I've met 15 different Shakespeares. Not all were human. And so just Schwad is knowledgeable and powerful and witty and snarky, and he's had to, his thing is these engineers, they get their repair tickets, and so one of the devices that Rich has was you can flip a prime, which has 8 fringe portals on it, back down to one of the 8 alternates of that prime, and then make an alternate a prime, and all of a sudden 7 more portals appear. So he did that in the Kelvin universe that he very thinly veiled put into Portals 3. So there is a Star Trek universe, and it's Riverside, Iowa, with the docks and the bar, the Riverside bar and all this, the stuff you see in the '09 reboot. So I now game in the Star Trek Kelvin universe, and of course I've added magic due to a Bureau 13 campaign. Because my buddy Jeff DeReff, check out his channel here on Twitch, magic got leaked into the Kelvin universe, and of course it's the whole if you know, you know. Other than the fact that, yeah, magic works, not many people know, so it's still a relative secret. And of course, I had Section 31 meet Schwad when he came through the portal in Riverside, Iowa, after it came online, and they're all like, okay, Federation sensors are going, okay, we sense all these massive energy readings. Each one is akin to the power of 3 black holes and a neutron star. And they are all through the Alpha and Beta quadrant. There's 8 of them on Earth, another 8 in the solar system, and then 64 throughout the Alpha and Beta quadrant, all 40 within 40 light years of Earth. So Schwad comes through with, and now Fur, because she doesn't know that much about Star Trek, I had her play a Mandalorian armor. Not the armor played by Emily Swallow, but an armor of another covert on Tatooine. So I made the suit for her, and Fur had a ball playing the character, except very quiet, very stoic. Fur likes to be sarcastic. If you've been in the chat, you've seen this. If you've heard her on my show or seen it on the live stream I used to do on Facebook, you've read this. Oh, hi, honey, you're still there. Yeah. And so she played an armor. I had Schwad. Schwad picked her up and brought her to the Kelvin universe. And so now the PCs in that now defunct, that ended Thursday night campaign, most of them were Starfleet, a few were civilians, and it's because they were all fringe-worthy, and Schwad picked them up and said, yes, I can find these people and help you explore these fringe paths. Of course, I'm going to have to give you all biotech versions of your tricorders and phasers, because once you go through the fringe portal, they'll be drained of energy. And so they've been out on the fringe paths, they've been throughout the Alpha and Beta quadrant, they've had to deal with the magic that comes through, they've even done time travel, so I wrapped up the campaign. But Schwad is kind of like my fringe-worthy to Hulkiverse version of the Doctor. And so I made this character ages ago and decided, and of course there's very limited stuff in fringe-worthy D20, so I pulled a lot of third-party stuff from various things to make Schwad. Yes, he is immortal. Yes, he is full of biotech cybernetics. The Termelern are immortal, telepathic. They have a drive to create. And so, yeah, they'll keep building bigger and better stuff. They're the ones that made the fringe paths. They're the ones that made the hardwired hinterland. And, of course, in my universe, it was, this particular group or this particular race or this particular device. Yeah, it was all part of the Mellor War. And I play Schwad kind of like the Doctor in the fact he helped develop weapons for the Commonwealth in the Mellor War. And so he is this haunted character. He is this character who... now his job is, okay, you are an engineer. Toward the end of the Mellor War, they decided to lock down the Mellor on these worlds after they were... 270 million worlds were either totally destroyed or rendered uninhabitable due to this war. Either due to the Mellor or just the stuff that the Commonwealth and the Termelern made, including Schwad. So yeah, Schwad, I bring a bit of the War Doctor into Schwad, John Hurt's version of the Doctor, where, yes, I made horrible things. I made weapons that destroyed planets because we couldn't save them. I have to live with that. I have to listen to the billions of people who died. I killed children. I killed innocents. These were people that did not ask to be attacked by the Mellor or the forces that these Mellor had. And I had to wipe them out. So don't ever talk to... and cue Peter Capaldi's Zygon inversion speech about war. Very much Schwad. Now, Schwad, I have him linked so far through 3 campaigns. The Star Trek campaign that it ended and he was still with United Federation of Planets Interdimensional Agency, or UFPETA. He is now in my Hinterland campaign. He just appeared there, and that's how I brought Courtney's character of the dimensional analog of IMA, who was also in that Thursday game. And we arranged it where IMA will pop up through Sarah and, Schwad, I didn't know you cared for me. And Courtney will change her voice and first heard this, where you know it's IMA. I don't need to ask. Because I've been gaming now with Courtney for about 2 years, and just there's an inflection between the Salem era witch and this magically raised half elf swashbuckler who started tampering with magic. And time and dimension magic now, because there was chronomancy involved in the previous campaign and everything. So you have this character now who Schwad is the person who's all knowing, but again, he's like the doctor. He's willing, yeah, he'll help and do stuff, but he will let people help themselves. He'll give a hand where it's like, no, here, we need to sneak in. Yeah, I've got these disguise blobs. Put them on the back of your neck and you'll look like you fit in on this world with this race. So you have, and it was funny because my buddy Breakman Z, also here on Twitch, he played Torgish, a Ferengi, and he was very good at it. I'm surprised he didn't have the Ferengi teeth like Armin Zimmerman had. Listen here, Human. Just nailed it. And he had the rules of acquisition right there. So, oh yes, this is rule of acquisition 231. And he would recite it. We're just like. And Fur got to play with Z as the armor in Torvis, so she knows this character. And so Schwad had this disguise block. Remember, everything they do is biotech. The way that the Termelern work with their invention, and we've had storms here recently. My allergies are acting up, so forgive me here if I'm trying to do this all the time with the nose because I'm trying to keep from sneezing. Yeah, we need to go on this world, and needless to say, you and those ears stick out like a sore thumb. Slap this on the back of your neck. I look disgusting. I look like, human. And just we're playing it. It's like, I don't know, you look pretty good for a human. That's the problem. I look like a human. So Schwad would have, and it would just be the gadget of the session. Just, oh yeah, well I have this. And Schwad would be covered with like shoulder bags and belt pouches and bandoliers, and they were all of holding. So he could just pull anything out of anywhere and just, yeah, okay, I have this, whatever. I don't need to write it up. Schwad was the Deus Ex Machina. He is the connection of all the fringe paths. Now, in my spin-off Star Trek campaign, that after this current Pulp Wool Newton universe campaign is done, where Fur will be playing an Elorian counselor. Jeff DeReff will be playing his old character, now Captain McCoy. And we have other people yet to get their characters. Of course, in Star Trek, I play, the typical cranky Tellarite engineer, kind of like a grown-up version of a Jankum Pog of Star Trek Prodigy. By the way, save Star Trek Prodigy. If you find petitions to bring it back, get it back. They just now, Monday today, took it off Paramount Plus. It is gone. Season 1's gone. But these Tellarite, cranky, argumentative Tellarite, I've had 3 of them now, and they're all cousins and nephews. Like, yeah, Cap, no, Clevis, no, that was my brother. No, the other one over here, no, that was my cousin. That's my mom's sister's kid. Yeah, no, don't worry, Cap, I'll have it worked up in an hour. I got it fixed. So the third way I'm bringing in Schwad is to kick off this Saturday game, and it's going to be in between the time that one Thursday Star Trek campaign with IMA and where McCoy came from. It's him giving his final order as head of Huff Peta before transferring command to the Vulcan character, the Admiral, played by our friend Will Sokov. Schwad's going to be he's got this little green triangle of light, and that's his AI, Varant, that he looks at, and he goes, oh crap, I gotta leave. Oh God, I can't get out of this, I have to go. Okay, Captain Robert McCoy, you now have your own ship. You are to explore this planet 1,000 light years from the galactic core. I wish you the best of luck. Your ship is ready. It is hard tech, not biotech, like the Hippocrates. You have your crew, go. And then Schwad leaves. And from there, he goes to the hinterland and meets Sarah. So I'm playing all this at different times and, kind of prequel stuff. But Schwad has this immortal quality. I can bring him up in plenty of... When this Friday game is done, Schwad will be elsewhere. Because that's my... He's my subject matter expert in all things fringe stuff, and he's just like, yeah, I had to go work on the hinterland. Now I'm here, and okay, what's going on? And he checks for ramp. Oh, I gotta fix this. Okay. Oh, there's people here who can help me. Okay. And Schwad will be the impetus for a campaign or an idea. I have okay, it's from a Louis J. Porter PDF, and it's called A Reality Hacker. And what he did basically is, yeah, you find the transcendental code, and you now have powers akin to, like those in the Matrix. You leap, you can fly, you can stop bullets, you can hack and gain new skills. And I read it, I'm like, okay, this is Matrix digital self images for D20. Louis J. Porter puts out wonderful stuff. I've used a lot of his stuff. There are rules that I did to help give Schwab immortality. There's the Eternal template. It's basically Highlander D20. So this reality hacker, I came up with an idea. I said, because, I'm a huge comic book fan. And I wanted to do something multiversal. And these people, and I read this reality hacker. I said, ooh, reality nights. And so I've had a couple people play reality nights in other previous campaigns. And what it is that they start researching things about science and technology and the nature of the universe, and they tap into the transcendental code, where if you start following it, you start unlocking psionic-based powers within yourself, and then you're granted a costume. Now, the costume is like, it's split down here. It's like this part is black. All the rest of this is blue. The gloves and boots are black. The briefs are black. And right here on the split, on the right breast, would be sort of a crescent moon in a starburst. That is the symbol for the reality nights. Now, I've had two reality nights so far. One of them was from an old flame of mine in Chicago, Fidget. Fidget Gift Whistle? Yeah. Played by Marissa and then later taken over by one of my former gamers from Omaha, Laura. And so I wanted to come up, I've never come up with, okay, who made the reality nights? I'm just going to throw it in. It was yet another thing made to protect a world during the Mellor War. The Termelern came up and said, okay, we're going to basically encapsulate the transcendental code so those who find it help to protect realities. Hence the reality nights. So the reality nights, once again, is another Termelern creation. They've hacked into the universe, and okay, if you understand this much of the universe, you can start now hacking it. Oh, gravity, that's nothing. You can leap and you don't need to do a running start. You can do it from just a crouch and leap dozens of feet. Oh, you can hack into the transcendental code and all of a sudden tap into, get a free feat for like an hour. And so I had the Termelern make this. So yeah, the Termelern were gods. Until, well, the thing was they were totally optimistic. They were short-sighted in the fact that they expected the best from everybody. In a way, with the drive to create that the Termelern have, and they're wanting to see the best in everybody. Being autistic now, I now see the pattern. The Termelern, in a way, show signs of being autistic. They have this incredible drive to create whatever. It could be anything from a mating dance to gain more mates, to creating the fringe paths, to creating the hardwired hinterland. Oh, hi, I created this pocket space where you can go to heal. And if you know where it is, you could be healed from anything, even death. You could be somebody lay your body there, you're resurrected. And these Termelern have an incredible drive to create whatever. And a lot of them take life quests, and because they're immortal, they can spend millennia on this. And also, they see the good in everyone. Problem is, they are eternal optimists. And unfortunately, it costs them their home world, their commonwealth. And now there are a scant number of Termelern engineers out to fix. Because there was something else that happened toward the end of the war. The Mellor that they locked down our worlds, they just said, rainbow key, lock them down. There's like 9 levels of these little D4-like crystal keys. One of them is rainbow hued. Engineers get those only. So Schwad has a rainbow key and an orange key, which allows them to operate Termelern machinery. So, and then of course they're on this white, kind of opaque, wooden, white plastic grown wand, and he can access the functions of either one on this. And it's a wand about this long. Something Rich came up in Portals 3 with. And so Schwat has this key, and they use these keys to lock down these worlds. And the Meller said, okay, we need to hack into the Fringe system and try to get out of these worlds. Well, it ended up being a logic bomb, which screwed up the portals even more. Now portals are like, yeah, you go through a portal on the platform and you drop 40 feet into the Arctic Ocean. Or you go through this portal and you suffer incredible burns, or you're flash frozen. Or you are turned into a ghost where only Fringeworthy can see you. Other than that, you're ethereal the entire time you're on the world. Or you are locked on the world for a set time and then drawn back through the portal, where you can't go back through the portal and get back. These are same things that the keys can give you powers for. So yeah, the Meller tried to get off their worlds and screwed up the portals. The engineers are going around to fix them. Schwat is one of them. So I love playing Schwad because he can be snarky, he can be catty, he can do whatever he wants because I've made him. He's like a 32nd level, so he's epic level. But I also threw in the mythic rules from Pathfinder 1E. And with all the templates, this is equivalent to a CR58. Yeah, CR58 character. He's massively epic level. And of course, I used the Akashic rules from Dreamscarred Press, Akashic Mysteries, and Arc Forges. Akashic is cybertech. And of course, cybertech can be biotech. So he's got all these apps that allow him to do it. And he's got this thing called Storm Gauntlets. He can come up behind you and just grab you, tap you or punch you, and you take like 3d10 and it's electric, cold, and sonic damage. He can also blast it up to 55 feet away. Problem is, he's not a combatant. He doesn't like to fight. He'll evade, he'll do stuff, and he'll let all the people in his midst fight for him. But in the hinterland, he's the sysadmin. He can bend the entire hinterland to his will. And so there's Dreamwalker D20, Peter Spann made it, and basically it's a digital dream realm, kind of like the Matrix. So yeah, with Schwad's powers, he could sit there and just, oh yeah, I need to make a dimensional gate into this world's shadow plane. Fine, it's 20 by 20. You can walk mechs through. Go have fun. Because we use the shadow realm because of the shadow powers of Orla, Gina's character, who Schwad and her have been talking and everything, and it's like Schwad's, like, oh no, this woman's got serious PTSD, and she's also symbiotically linked to this telepathic and sound manipulating dog, Boris. And so Schwad is, he tries to bring himself down to his companions' levels, and he calls the people that he is with his litter. The Thursday night game, it's like, yes, we have a Vulcan, we have, this half-elf swashbuckler, we got the Ferengi. You're my litter, you're my pups. He's adopted them in. It's like, do you have kids of your own? I've lost count of the number of kids I have. Remember, we're polyamorous. We have massive clans. I have a family. Problem is, I signed on to become an engineer. I'll probably never see my family again, but it's to save the multiverse and the fringe paths. And hopefully we can get the big system back online. The big system, yeah, that's like, oh no, we could transport anybody, anywhere, any universe. You could get a carton of eggs from a world. You could send, instantly teleport to anywhere, not just through gates. It was like you could just speak to the air and you could be teleported anywhere, any when, any time. And the big system had to be shut down due to the Melor War to avoid constant warring, and then filters were put in where if you play Fringe where the batteries get drained, magnetics get wiped, nuclear isotopes get knocked down to the nearest non-radioactive isotope, and no, you cannot make depleted uranium rounds with that. We already nixed the science for that. And then the Fringe-worthy filter, you have to have a certain quantum signature in order to walk the Fringe path. So you're not marching high-tech armies across dimensions. They put that in there, and that's why only 1 in 100,000 can use the Fringe paths in Fringe-worthy. And Schwad is the guy trying to fix it all, or at least 50,000 portals. And it will take him well over a millennia, and he's now been doing it. No one knows how long he's been doing it. He could be done, or he could have just begun. But he's a 3,527 years old. Yeah. And I enjoy playing Schwad because it's a fringe-worthy version of the Doctor. And I'm a pretty decent Doctor Who fan. And Furs dealt with Schwad, and the Friday game is dealt with Schwad. Schwad will be used to kick off the next Saturday game. And the characters in my they love Schwad. They have a riot with him. It's because he's the SME on everything Fringeworthy, and for characters who've never been through Fringeworthy, I get to do the exposition and talk about the Mellor War and the Fringe Path and the big system and all the stuff. There are some people. It's like my gamers who've been with me long. Okay, we know this story. Trav's going to want to expound it for the new one, and they're just like, oh my god, this guy made this game. I said, yeah, we lost him 6 years ago. I consider myself Rich the Hulk's protege. He was one of my mentors. So I get to expound to these new players everything about Fringeworthy and just the scope of the game, and it's through Schwad. And it's fun just because the character's a dork. He really is. Deep down, he's just somebody who's trying to do his job, and just new things come up, and that's why he's in the Hinterlands now, and who knows where Schwad will pop up next, other than to start off the next Saturday game, where it's Star Trek Kelvin, and they're on this Victorian world. I'm using the Gilded Sun setting from Golden Celestial Games. So yeah, magic's there, and it's all around 1900 Earth. So you got a little bit of Wild West, a little bit of steampunk, a little bit of Meiji Restoration, and so yeah, it's just going to be really fun to see where I give Schwad his next appearance to go on. I want to do something where he's bouncing people around the fringe paths, like hopping a fringe train, and so it'd be kind of like his TARDIS, the Doctor's TARDIS in a way. Or I can come up with something else where it actually is a device that bounces between, but doesn't use the fringe paths. So who knows? Schwad will pop up somewhere. Just the love is there for that character. Yeah, and the funny thing was, my next character, and we're almost at 9 o'clock, so we're maybe a couple minutes ahead of schedule. I mentioned the Reality Knights. The Reality Knights, as of last week, I decided, you know what, it's yet another Termellern creation trying to save the multiverse during the war, give people access to they find the Transcendental Code. Basically, imagine the Transcendental Code kind of like DC's anti-life equation, where if you tweak it, you can control the universe. And it's what Darkseid's been looking for ever since they made the character in the 60s. If you don't notice the differences, the similarities between Thanos and Darkseid, you really haven't been into comics. Now, who came first? JFGI. Just fucking Google it. But the Transcendental Code, I can just... and I thought of this today. I'm like, how am I going to tie the Reality Knights, which I've already made 2 of them, Fidget, a gnome who found it. There were gnomes in the Wild West on Bureau 13 Earth. That's Bureau 13 Black Powder. Look it up. Go to tritechgames.com and buy that, and you'll see, there's gnomes, living near the mountains west of, near Lake Tahoe in Carson City, Nevada. And the Bureau, the gnomes helped fund them with gold, and they protected the gnomes for a century. And okay, yeah. So the Reality Knights I actually came up with this weekend. You know what? It was another Termellern creation. As I said, I've made 2 Reality Knights. One of them is Fidget, since the character's retired because that campaign was done years ago. The other one was a monk from Forgotten Realms. His name is Silas Drawn. Now, Silas I probably made within the past decade. And he was a monk who, through his excessive discipline, he tapped into the Transcendental Code, learning linguistics and religion and science and nature, and all of a sudden he realized, kind of like a grand unified theory. So Silas Drawn he went from just a monk on the Forgotten Realms world of Toril, the continent of Faerun, which is incidentally the same world where Will's character Zen comes from. That may come up later. I may bring Silas up in the Thursday campaign where he's speaking Faerunian common to him. Silas is a Reality Knight. Silas helped guide Fidget a little bit. And he's about my height and weight about 20 years ago, and black hair, brown eyes, a white guy. pencil thin black mustache. And whenever it comes up, that Reality Night uniform, black hair, blue hair, black briefs, gloves, and boots, and the Reality Night symbol here on the chest, on the right breast. And he can hack into reality and the laws of the universe and do cool stuff. Plus, he is a hell of a hand-to-hand combatant, and he's been all over the multiverse now. Also, I threw in that eternal thing, so yeah, you also bypass aging. But there is a node in your brain that powers it, and if you get hit there or beheaded, basically that cuts the energy off of, and you die. And I've made it now where you explode in that Highlander way, and whoever's around you would gain the power of Reality Night. Now, if it's several people, they're all going to be Reality Knights. Or at least when they break the Transcendental Code. So yeah, Silas, I've been bouncing around a few worlds now, and this is another one of the characters, and I've just recently redone him. Now, he's akin to 20th level monk, one level of daring from the Adventure D20, and he's got the Chosen template from EN Games, which is +4 to all your stats. You can already take epic level feats, and it's a +3 to your level adjustment. Then +2 for the Eternal. So he's I didn't give him mythic levels. He's equivalent to a 37 level character. So he's another epic level character that I've made. And it's just he's sort of laid back and calm, and just like, oh, so you're going to do that? And of course, he can speak like over 20 languages fluently, and plus the ability to speak to any living creature. He may not be able to understand them, but of course, if I give him a Termellan translation bead, he'll be able to understand anyone. So Silas, I tapped into him because from 03 to 08, I took a composite form of martial arts called Newaja. Now it's spelled N-E-I-W-A-I and then Chia, but it's pronounced Newaja. It stands for Internal External System. From 2003 to 2008, I was taught by Sifu's Mark and Julie Herbert in Garden City, Michigan. They're based in Livonia. There was a in Garden City called Guardian Martial Arts that has since closed down, and so they teach, I believe, out of the Livonia Rec Center. If you're here in Michigan, it's 5 mile between Merriman and Farmington. Yeah. So during my time in martial arts, I was, the spiritual side and and so I came up with this character as a monk that, travels the multiverse and, rights wrongs. And then, I threw in I'm sorry, my mustache, yeah, it's this side here, it's not growing down all the way. This side looks fine. So if I'm facing the camera, y'all see that I got a bit of a bald patch like over here. It's bugging the crap out of me. I'm realizing I couldn't do the Van Dyke beard because, it's, kind of oh, wait a minute, there's this, little patch here that I'm looking at myself as I'm doing this. Oh, crap. Oh, geez, it's not growing all the way. Anyways, I wanted to make this character that had a mission of his own. He protects the Transcendental Code, people who hack into reality to try to screw it up. And so he just knows. So it's sort of a Green Lantern type thing with these Reality Knights. But they're multiversal. They don't have a sector. They just go wherever they need it. And it's just the Transcendental Code sort of leads them to it. Now, the Transcendental Code, that's again a Lewis J. Porter Jr. invention. I could have renamed it whatever, and I'm sure I'll come up. Well, no, we call it here in this world, the Code of Reality or whatever. And fine, whatever. But they're Reality Knights. And so I decided to make Silas because of my time as a practitioner of Newaja. So the monk class was the obvious thing, where he has a tendency toward order and law and the code of the universe. But he's also neutral because, yeah, he's trying to protect it, but there are times he'll let evil stuff happen because this needs to happen. This particular city needs to be destroyed so in the future other cities and people will prosper. There are times he's had to kill people that other people would say, no, he didn't deserve this. So he's done some things, but it's all in service of this transcendental code. So he's another one of these tortured epic level characters. And it's not so much the doctor, like war doctor level stuff, but Silas is just, how can I put this? He's a slave to a higher power. He signed on for it, and now he's like over 450 years old and realizes, yeah, I've done some shady stuff in my time, but I have to do it because this code is all important. I was just a simple monk in my monastery reading books, and I realized there was something encompassing everything. Oh, it was this transcendental code. Yes, I see it now. How would you like to protect it? Why am I wearing this costume, and why does it look weird, and it's not like monk robes? So he's wearing normal monk. He would look like a medieval monk. And then when trouble kicks in, bing. So it's a little bit of Hawk and Dove. The old DC characters, you've seen them on Titans, on Max. Where whenever problems come up, they just go Hawk, Dove, and their natural abilities amplify and these costumes appear. Kind of like Silas. So again, it's something that was said on the podcast I do, Gaming on the Frontier. Don't be afraid to rub serial numbers off of stuff. So Silas is sort of a mixture of my time in martial arts and a little bit of Hawk and Dove. You know, we are agents of order. We have to make sure that the universe, the multiverse, operates accordingly. And it was, a matter of fact, today I decided, no, the Reality Knights is another Termellan creation. They were used as weapons to fight the Melor, because the Melor were starting to mess with the reality of the universe with Commonwealth and Termellan technology. They're going to mess with the fringe paths. They have to shut down the big system. We need agents that can go in and pull a trigger when we can't. Hence the Reality Knights, them tapping into the Transcendental Code was done. So yeah, it's with Silas, I kind of made it where he, as I said, the best way to describe it, yeah, he's well-meaning, but he's done some nasty stuff in his almost, a little over 4.5 centuries of life. And the Termellan I had him where they gave the Reality Knights a bit of their immortality. So I use that same Eternal template. So yeah, it's a psychic node here. A bullet here cutting off the head would end and of course they explode, and I made it. No, if you're caught in that explosion, you now have the ability to later take that reality hacker class. We're gonna do OGL rules here. 5 ranks in linguistics, 5 ranks in either knowledge, religion, nature, physical sciences, or arcana. So even mages could become reality knights. The studious feat from D20 Modern, which basically gives you a +2 to linguistics and a +2 to any one knowledge skill. And of course, if you know Pathfinder 1E, if you get 10 or more ranks in one skill, those bonuses both will go up to +4. And skill focus in one of those 4 mentioned knowledge skills, which would give you another 3. So you're building up knowledge in one of these 4 skills. You're learning about linguistics, and you learn language and technology and nature and science and it all Transcendental Code. And you start realizing, oh, I can hack this now. I can do things like give myself temporary feats and hack gravity and learn to fly and do all this stuff, kind of like Neo. That's basically what this reality hacker class. You end up being Neo, but without the Matrix. So Silas is another character I've had wandering around my multiverse, excuse me, for probably about 10 years. He's popped up a few times. And I'm going to use him in a future, and I am off next week. I'm off of work. Whether I decide to do an episode next week, I still have not decided. I'll be doing some campaign planning, and one of these new campaigns is going to be Silas. There may be a Reality Knights campaign sometime soon where, yeah, you all have these different paths, and either Silas trains you or you witness him die in a public fight, and whoa, I did the math. It's going to be a 155-foot radius. Everyone takes 46 damage, but also, oh, by the way, you now have the capacity to hack the Transcendental Code. So in a way, again, it's sort of the Highlander D20 Eternals template where it, yeah, down the rabbit hole, yep. And yeah, it was funny when I told Fur, yeah, I'm taking the 4th of July week off. I was only going to be working for 2 days. I just told my boss, I'll take the whole week off. And Fur, we're on our Facebook Messenger thread is just obscene. It's been 5 years now. By the way, she and I just celebrated this weekend our 5 years together. And I'll say this real quick, dear, I have one regret that I did not get to record your son when he tried wasabi. He was doing that headless chicken routine. I'm pointing to the fridge going, get the milk, get the milk. I love you. Anyways, so I'm sitting there talking to her. I said, yeah. And she goes, let me guess, you're going to be doing game prep for new campaigns or whatever. And I type back, honey, I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you that. I couldn't even type this with a straight face. Yeah. Because she knows, yeah, if I'm got time off. Oh, no, when I was unemployed for 5 months between my 2 jobs I've had, I cranked out 6 campaigns. I'm running 4 of them now. I've still got 1 or 2 in a pile over here ready to be used. So I need to get that buffer again and one of them is going to be involving Silas, either training a new generation of reality knights or being the cause of a new generation of reality, because he is the last of them. And it's going to be, yeah, we were all wiped out. And I'll come up with some big threat down the line. He might pop up in one of these current campaigns. He might pop up in the Saturday campaign where Dr. Elizabeth Herbert cracks the Transcendental Code. He might pop up in the Sunday game where he's there on the Amethyst Earth. The Amethyst setting done by Diaz as Machina. Amethyst, Neurospasta, Affinity. He might be in the Friday game. He might pop up in the Hinterland, and Schwala would go, oh, yeah, we made you guys. Yeah, how are things going? Oh, you're the last of your kind? Oh, damn, I'm sorry. Or in the Thursday game on my Traveler's Earth where there's this new hero. He's in a blue and black costume, and he's fighting these, corporate security guards and just laying them out with all sorts of weird martial arts moves. Silas will make an appearance soon. And it will be a precursor to whatever new campaign I come up with where, yeah, he needs to either train or begin a new squad of reality knights. Because he's the last one and he knows he can't do this job alone anymore. Which means I got to come up with, okay, why is there only one reality knight? But yeah, you'll have Silas, and he is. I mean, he was an outreach of my, getting more water here, because as much as I'd be liking to suck down some Apothic Merlot right now, no, hydration is important. So yeah, Silas, I only got to play him really, I think the one time when I, with Marissa's permission, said, yeah, I got this thing I want to try. Are you willing to do it? Yeah, imagine sort of a Green Lantern with powers of Neo in the Matrix. You protect the multiverse, and you've been signed on to do this now. So she was gaining all sorts of cool powers that she got to use, and she's this gnome from basically the Wild West of Bureau 13. So here's Silas now, a little older, a little wiser, a little bit in his future, and realizing, okay, I'm the last one. There ain't no more reality guys left. I got to start getting more up to speed. And with how Pathfinder works, you can be minimum 5th level and become a reality knight as long as you got the necessary ranks and the 2 feats, the studious from D20 Modern, and which I translated out again to +2 to linguistics in 1 language skill, and skill focus in one of the language knowledge skills needed to be a reality knight. So once you do enough study, yeah, all of a sudden these guys are going to start realizing we got all these powers, and yeah, we can protect people because this code needs to be protected. There are those who are going to hack it. And I mean, other people can use the transcendental code. It's just they're going to use it for evil. I'm going to reshape the multiverse to my will. So the reality, the Mellow were trying to do that, and so no, we need someone who uses the code to fight those who want to use the code for evil. So yeah, one of my campaign ideas I'll be working on next week is to bring Silas back into, because he can't retire. You die being a reality. Once you become a reality knight or hack into the code, you are like that wrestler Conan for life. Just yeah. And Jeff's gonna be watching. Quit bringing up wrestling references. No, it's funny. Again, Jeff the Ref, he's here on Twitch. He's on sort of paternity leave right now. Him and Professor Pixie, they got another kid, so they're not really doing Twitch videos right now. They're too busy trying to get Oren to go to sleep at night. But check out their channels. As far as I'm concerned, those two and Breakman, they're all family. Just, yeah. And so, Silas will be making a future appearance in one of the 4 games, or maybe all of them, because he's looking for new successors. And then there will be a Silas Drawn Drafts Reality Knights campaign. It'll be, I don't know, Rise of the Reality Knights or the New Reality Knights or something. And it just depends on what game I put it in. Just say, yes, I need successors. I need help. Okay, not successors. Silas, it's just I need help. And so, yeah, you guys have all hacked into this. Fine. This is what you can do with it. Problem is there's a price. You live for the code. You die for the code. You protect the code. You keep it from those who would find it and use it for their own purposes. And so he's going to be, in one way, either an impetus or a mentor. I have to work that out. So Silas, yeah, it's just... And when I made him, and I got him over here, I will get him... Let me just... There, printed him out. Wonderful refillable sheet that Carrie gave me. And so it is... Yeah, Silas Drawn, Last of the Reality Knights. 31st level. Plus 5. So 36 level altogether. Epic level character. Heightened stats. And for the monk, I use the Enlightened Monk, which is from Ultimate Psionics by Dreamscarred Press. Basically, it's a rewrite of the old expanded Psi handbook from 3.5 D&D. And Monk Mentum, which again, I told you in episode 1, I use the Spheres system from Drop Dead Studios. Spheres of Might, Spheres of Power, Spheres of Guile. When Ultimate Engineering comes out, due to the Kickstarter, I'm still waiting for that. So I use those systems, and there's Monk Mentum, where you can store momentum and help you do things. You're capturing motion, so you're using the laws of physics to help you out. So that's how he started. He tapped into that, and that's where he found out about the code. It's like, okay, science and physics and nature and religion and language and grand unified theory of the multiverse. Okay, I'm in. What do you mean I gotta protect this code? Okay, fine. And so him being a monk, it's now... To him, he's transcended. He's no longer mortal. He's now considered an outsider. So he has certain immunities now. He doesn't age. Disease and poison doesn't work. He doesn't get drunk anymore. The only way he's going to die is through excessive damage. And so, let's see, some of the things Silas can do here. Dream travel. Use all knowledge skills untrained. That means it's like a D20 plus 8, he can use any knowledge skill. He's got some decent scores here, but I mean... And of course, the costume's a little bit armored, so, but of course he also has his own armor. If you're a high enough level monk, you get 10/chaotic, which means, physical damage, yeah, unless it's a chaotic magical weapon, 10 points of damage. Oh, gone. You're not going to hurt me unless you are a being of pure chaos, where your touch hurts lawful-based creatures. So Silas in a hand-to-hand fight, 9 times out of 10, he's going to be just throwing people around. And another Dreamscarred Press... Dreamscarred? Yeah, it's Dreamscarred Press. The Path of War, where it's martial maneuvers that you take, and then Lost Spheres Publishing, who puts out The City of Seven Spheres, they did something called... a class called the Voltaic. And basically, it's an alternate martial maneuver system called sparking. Now, instead of you taking a class and getting new maneuvers and stances, and the maneuvers are strikes, boosts, and counters. Now, counter you do, it's a counter. It's that instant block attack type thing that I learned in Newaja. And it's funny, I'm teaching Fur's daughter a little bit of stick fighting because she's in a boxing class. The Kronk Gym, Thomas the Hitman Hearns trained him, Emmanuel Stewart. They've moved the gym out to Westland in this former school. Now, as I say on my show, yes, it's the historic Norwayne district. No, it's fucking Shacktown. Anyways, and I'll see a LMAO here in the chat in a little bit. Fur's daughter Alexa's taking a boxing class. You know what? She's into martial arts. Fine. I remember some of my stick fighting stuff. So I brought home these dowels about this long. Because remember, I work in a lumber warehouse and we sell full 1-inch across round dowels. And they're scrap. I'll take them home. And I explain to my boss, I'm teaching the girlfriend's 9-year-old daughter how to stick fight. And we do in the backyard. And we've wrapped each other's knuckles. And so, yeah, it just... The voltaic, instead of you're in a class and you get these levels, it's Alexis, I never make a mistake. Oh no, yeah, just this weekend. Oh no, I'm like my mom, I'm perfect. I'm like, wow, just, yeah, okay, yeah. As I said, my only imperfection this weekend, I didn't get to, film or record her 11-year-old son after trying wasabi run around like a headless chicken. That's my only regret of this weekend. Oh, that was wonderful. Anyways, the voltaic, whenever they roll a nat 20 in an attack, a nat 20 in a skill that is linked to one of these disciplines, like, oh, thrashing dragon, dual weapon fighting and flipping, okay, the skill would be acrobatics. And trying to see what damn icon. Oh, I think those are devils. No. The emojis are that small over here. I'm like, eh? It's like Ken Jeong with the piece of paper. So, and if an opponent rolls a nat 1 against you, you get to do a counter. Old man, whatever. I'm old because I've made it this far, and I've made it this far because I'm that damn good. Well, I couldn't even say that with a straight face. That was horrible. Oh, hey, okay. Oh, we have the Sunday gamer, yes, Mrs. Amber Allen. Hello, they're Onis? What? No. And I will bring up Amber's Sunday character here in a little bit, in about 8 minutes. Anyway, so I gave Silas the sparking ability. Oh, Japanese Onis. Yeah. Oh, no, I brought those up in the Thursday game. Ask Z about Oni sometime. Yeah. The water Oni with the acid breath almost killed his superhero character a couple months back. So Silas has this ability, and he's had 450 years of experience. So I had to build up a reservoir, a repertoire, as it were, of fighting abilities, and just the stuff he does is a lot of grappling, hand-to-hand, flipping, and like key type stuff where, oh yeah, there, you touch somebody and you mess with their chi and they have wisdom damage or whatever. So Silas can do all that. And yeah, he may just look like this, kind of a middle-aged guy walking around in weird-looking robes, and all of a sudden this uniform appears when the code is being threatened. And he's there just cleaning the floor with people and just walks away. So, yeah, Silas is somebody I made up, and he's become another one of my iconic characters because he's always been there in the background. There's always something going on, and every so often he'll come in, and I'll bring him in. And I wanted to do a Reality Night crossover between all of the campaigns I was running with time. Now I'll get to do it. And it will lead to a campaign. Now, as I said, I don't know when this campaign is going to be, what game it's going to be in, but it can happen. And whatever of my gamers can do this is going to be fun, because they get to see me play this character, which I didn't get to really role-play when I brought him out back in the old Bureau 13 game where Fidget became one. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, my name is Silas. Yeah, oh, you have these powers. Yeah. I'll be able to develop this character a little more that I've had now for 10 years. And I'll get to be able to flesh him out a little bit. And yeah, he comes from the Forgotten Realms, so I'll have to have the Forgotten Realms wiki up on my screen here from fandom.wikia.com, which is wonderful, as long as I don't bring Blue Boy back. Oh no, he's in the Thursday game right now. So, well, remember, technically Blue Boy, a Time Walker from Dark Horse Games' Temporality, technically he has already died. It's just the stuff that he's in now, that's his past. Yes, go get aspirin, I'm talking about time travel. So we have this character who I've had, and I'm about to have a lot more fun with him. And Silas Drawn. Yeah, Michael, nerd! Yeah. I get that crap from the roommate. He was getting that out of his system before he went into his room for the night. Yeah, Michael. So says the guy playing Captain Buttercup, and I've already mentioned him on episode 1, so yeah. Or no, episode 2 when I did my campaigns last week, yeah. The play Our Town by Silas Marner. That's where I got and Drawn just sounded cool. Okay, fine. So Silas Drawn, this character. And yeah, Silas is about to stir some fun up in my multiverse because he needs help. He needs more reality nights. And as I said, Captain Buttercup may be brushing elbows with a reality night, of course. Oh, I see, he gets a midget before me. Oh no, you'll get your spotlight soon, Amber, trust me. So yeah, Silas, as I said, he could be rubbing elbows with Captain Buttercup, but he'll have to bend down like this because Captain Buttercup's only 3 feet tall. Catfolk Necromancer from the Skyrim realm, so a Khajiit. In the Sunday game, the Skyrim spin-off game from Jeff the Riff's Skyrim campaign that he made. So yeah, so that is Silas. Now, this fourth and final iconic character, it's not so much one character. In my Sunday game, most of the campaigns I've run, I've partnered up with my dear friend Gina Osborne, aka Perky Goth, and she and I have made like 2 or 3 different game settings. And so when I'm role-playing these settings, I need a character I can play quickly. I know them, I can just whip it up, okay, and it's a Mary Sue character. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Mary Sue is usually an over-amplified, heroic version of yourself. In some ways, Luke Skywalker was considered George Lucas's Mary Sue. Rey was considered, well, not so much a Mary Sue, but a golden child. They're sort of similar. But yeah, a Mary Sue is pretty much, oh yeah, it's me tweaked to 11 and I can do all this stuff. And yeah, it's often fantasizing and wish fulfillment. So in these games, because I'm running my ass off trying to do this campaign, I want to have a GMPC, I basically just play a fantasy or sci-fi version myself. And in the past 3 Sunday games, there was, let's see, currently in the Sunday game I'm playing now Lieutenant Colonel. Well, he hasn't gotten the promotion yet. He's still a major. Run like 5, no, and all the Mary Sue character. Yeah, well, yeah, hell, my Bureau 13 character is Commander Daniel Robert Stewart, Mary Sue character. He was the leader of the previous Bureau 13 campaign on Saturdays where Fur got to play basically a Mary Sue of her grandmother Evelyn, a Victorian-era high priestess, pagan high priestess who went to modern day and ended up through Bureau 13 becoming a modern-day virologist. So now neo-pagan and very, knowledgeable in science and the pagan arts. So that was a Mary Sue kind of for... And as I said, Amber, in my Sunday game, I've written 5 novels no one's read, and all of them have a Mary Sue character. Yeah. So my Mary Sue's in this game is Trevor Polk, and I'll bring up facets of my life. Trevor Polk was born in the 90s. He joined the Army. He became fringeworthy. He's now part of this UNITA Bureau 13 TAES and TAES, TAESS Her Majesty's Transethereal Survey Service. There is a Victorian steampunk Earth in the Fringe Paths, and so United Nations Earth, where Fringeworthy is set, Bureau 13 Earth, and Victorian Edwardian Earth all sort of have an agency run by a Victorian world character who went to Bureau 13 Earth, then Earth Prime, and found out, wait a minute, I can be a liaison. Colonel Shay Talbot. Imagine a little more personable white British version of Amanda Waller from Suicide Squad. And we're talking the cartoon version, although the Viola Davis version is wonderful. By the way, go check out The Woman King with Viola Davis. Fur and I saw it was wonderful. So imagine a white British version of the animated Amanda Waller, not quite so bloodthirsty. That's Colonel Talbot. If you get close enough to her and you get good enough, she becomes maternal, but then very stern, kind of hardcore British school headmistress, but military, and just is coordinating all this interdimensional stuff. And so Trevor Polk in the Sunday game works for her. And it's now my character, Amber's dark elf, Oracle, then Michael, who was mentioned here in the chat, is 3-foot-tall Khajiit necromancer, Captain Buttercup. Z's playing a Khajiit caravan guard, archer, sniper, and then Fur's playing an altered version of Hakan from The Protector on Netflix. So we're all in this, and Trevor is my Mary Sue. It's like, I mentioned that I come from downriver Detroit, and I mentioned that my great Aunt Kate made this key lime pie to die for, and I mentioned pop culture references, and I'll sit there and mention, oh God, yeah, I knew this guy in high school, and it'll be someone I knew in high school. And JT, in a way, is also kind of a Mary Sue, because I've thrown in things that, they all come from downriver Detroit. They all have these eccentric relatives. They all have these weird experiences. They all have these people they knew. And so in the current campaign, it was, I know that it translates to Captain Buttercup, but it's incoherent. Well, to us, it would be incoherent yowling. It's the language of the Khajiit in Skyrim, Ta'agra. T-A-apostrophe-A-G-R-A. But I remember that was, it translates to Captain Buttercup. And of course, we're all meeting this character. Like, really? We're expected to take a 3-foot-tall catfolk necromancer seriously with that name. Meanwhile, this son of a bitch is raising ghouls and gas and controlling undead and casting these massively, and Michael picks some really good spells. And there's spells I'm looking, and I help Michael level up, and I'm just I'm gonna look at this character, look at this spell. Jesus Christ, yeah. So this character has become wonderful to GM. It's just Michael plays it totally for laughs, and it's so funny making them walk around on each other's shoulders. Yeah, that was great too. Okay, I'm gonna have the ghoul get up on the gas shoulders, and they're gonna walk toward the enemy. Sure. Oh. And it was so funny. I will never forget. Michael's husband, Dennis, is there on Skype. And just, oh, good, Trav, you can put up with his shit at your table. I haven't regarded it. I've enjoyed Captain Buttercup at my table. Fantastic addition to my multiverse. And just, no, I have such fun running the games with Michael playing the captain. And Trevor having to react to this. And just, the captain's proved his worth. It's like, and Trevor's like, okay, all right, yeah, you maybe want a necromancer and you want to unionize death. In other words, have zombies. And Trevor's like thinking, okay, this is a necromancer. I worked with Bureau 13. I needed to start. Wait a minute, this is a thing. They don't bitch. They don't need unions. You don't need to feed them. They can work anywhere. Wait a minute. Little guy, you may have, Cap, you may have some merit here with the thing. And so I'm playing it as if I were to sit there and go, wait a minute, hold it, yeah. As long as you can keep them in check, yeah, it's like, and, if they bring you your food, granted, they bring you some and all of a sudden a piece of them falls off, that might gross out some people. But no, this idea actually has merit. Okay, little guy, as long as you don't fuck us over, we'll protect you. You do your thing. We work together. We got this. And so, yeah, it's Trevor just doing this. And it's just, I throw in these things. Now, let's see. In the previous campaign for Sunday, it was Time Lords and Magic. And it was me and Perky Goth, and Gina's not in the game anymore. She's been bouncing around jobs, so I haven't role played. We haven't role played with Gina for, oh God, better part of a year now. But Gina and I have this thing where we create these campaigns. I'm autistic, she's ADHD, and so I keep her on point. She keeps me from getting too focused, and we made the Maze World campaign. Oh no, there will be a future episode where we talk about Maze World. And so, Time Lords and Magic. Gina found out, and she told me this of all places, at a now former Pizza Hut around the corner. And it was about the time when Day of the Doctor came out, so it was, David Tennant, Matt Smith, John Hurt, and all the others came in. It was Peter Capaldi's first appearance. So we were going to watch it, and we're getting pizza at this now defunct Pizza Hut near Westland Mall. And I'm sitting there, and she's telling me about, okay, apparently the timelines of Doctor Who and the timelines of the whole storyteller universe, Vampire the Masquerade and Werewolf, and they mesh. And I'm reading the wikis later, and I'm like, oh my God, she's hit on something. Jesus Christ. So, Time Lords and Magic. She played a Gallifreyan Time Lord named Toby, who was abandoned at age 8 and amnesiac, so forgot about their TARDIS, which ended up being a dumpster. So in order to get into the TARDIS, we're climbing into a dumpster in an alley in Detroit. And so I played, I believe his name was David? Yeah. And so we did it. Gina and I said, because both of us worked in warehouses. I was working at Napa. She was working at a place that deals with putting together electronics for Sirius XM radios. Gina has a degree from Maze World, was my favorite character of this campaign, his first long-lasting character. Yes, Amber, yeah. Oh, no, Maze World. Oh, no, Maze World, yeah. So, in Time Lords and Magic, I played, it was, okay, me and Amber, and it was us playing a couple. And so, Amber was Nova, a cosplayer and all this, and of course she had a very kind of frumpy kind of name, so she just said, no, I'm Nova. Just flamboyant, chaotic, and I'm playing Dex, an internet radio host, and we're driving down to a con, and we get stuck in Calhoun, Georgia that was the Maze World campaign. No, Time Lords and Magic. No, I don't think Amber was in that one. But it was another Mary Sue character where I started, we're traveling throughout the multiverse and I said, and again, when I'm running these campaigns with Gina, I play a Mary Sue. Now, Maze World, that's where I played Dex and she played Nova. Now, Maze World, Fieria, yes. That was Time Lords and Magic. That's who you were playing. A hippie pagan sorceress, and Fieria was of the, I heal people, but sometimes people just have to die. Yeah. And we came up, or Fieria ended up becoming very powerful. But my Mary Sue in Time Lords and Magic and my Mary Sue in the Maze World campaign. And again, I'll try to, because I'm going to do an episode on Maze World. I will have to get out our Maze World Bible that Perky Goth and I made, and that's going to be a future episode. I've got plans for episodes. Maze World's going to be where I just talk to you for 2 hours about everything that Gina and I did. But we did a campaign where, Maze World, Reader's Digest, sit down. All of the chaotic and evil gods of a planet where humanity was starting to get a little too smart for their shorts, and science. No, we're going to bring back magic to this world, and we're going to knock humanity down a few pegs. Well, the good gods, all the ones that were trying to still, you don't worship us anymore, but we don't want you to die. They took all, hundreds of thousands of people in their dreams and put them in a dream that it was a labyrinth, a maze, but where all the confluences of the maze were portals to these worlds that the highest technology was maybe just past the Civil War. But a lot of them were magic. So we need to take these people and teach them in this dream realm how to help humanity survive after, because we can't stop this magical apocalypse. And it's going to sweep across the planet all the way around and just, a couple billion people die in this, and so yeah. So there was the first arc. It was those people taken up in the dream, and then they come out and they end as the apocalypse is happening. Then we did a second Maze World campaign, where it's 2 years later and Earth is rebuilding, and now they're going into other dimensions. And Gina and I decided we want to do one just after the apocalypse happened. Humanity is going through the birthing pangs of their new world where everything is different. So I played David Polowich, a.k.a. Dex. Dex would be my role-playing version of Trev. Yeah, I'm an internet radio guy, and I have the show. And my girlfriend is this known cosplay, and we're driving down to a Florida con for the holidays, and we get stranded in Calhoun, Georgia, as we're watching. Oh, look, there's Chattanooga, Tennessee, and there's a white dragon attacking. So we get stranded in Calhoun, Georgia. And it was Jeff DeReff playing a local, Cornell Earthway, who I said, yeah, your family owns this mountain. You've lived there for generations. It's your thing now. Z played Desmond, a recovering singer and drummer, a recovering alcoholic who... It was interesting. It was the first time I had anyone ever play an LGBTQ character. I mean, openly. And so the thing behind Z's was... Desmond? Yeah. Desmond was drinking, and we don't recommend drinking or driving at all here. That is something I do not condone at all. The character drove and killed his partner, Michael. So it was a redemption arc story for Z. So yeah, I'm in New York, and I came down here and I got stranded. So we had the native, Cornell. We had the huge rock star, Dex and Nova. And then Perky Goth played an elf from 20,000 years ago that magic was suppressed and they all went to stasis, and that all came back when the apocalypse happened due to Maze World. So she's playing this 20,000-year-old walking around in the Arctic. And remember, the glaciers came down. Georgia was Arctic 20,000, or maybe tundra 20,000 years ago. So all of a sudden it's hotter than, if you've been to Atlanta, even in the winter, Atlanta is nowhere near Arctic. They get to 50 degrees and they think it's our 20 degrees up here in Michigan. So Gina was playing all that, and later she switched it out for a kitsune healer whose parents lived in the bazaar within Maze World. So we switch, and Gina will do this halfway through a campaign. I want to play this character now, and that's fine. So I played Dex, the internet radio DJ in a world where there's no longer any internet. But he had his laptop, and we found a nation of dwarves and gnomes who didn't go into stasis, they just stayed deep below the ground. And it was a mixture of deep dwarves and Svirfneblin, which are the really deep gnomes. They kind of look rocky, and so I made it where they had this, enclaves all over the world underground, and so there was the entrance to an enclave there near Calhoun, Georgia. Now, if you don't know Calhoun, Georgia, it is northwest of Atlanta, so it's in the northwest corner of Georgia, and it is the home of Mohawk carpet. I had to do a lot of research for Calhoun, Georgia. I had to have up Google Maps of Calhoun, Georgia. It's like, yeah, we're on this street. And it ended up being where I put an alien race crash landed at the airport, and now there's these warrior aliens that I took from the Center Space setting by Fruit Loops. And they've changed it to the Viraga, not the Virata. But, so these intersex, and I don't want to use the old term for that begins with an H, we don't use that term. These intersex, 7-foot-tall warrior aliens with a chitinous appearance, and they're 7, 8, 9 feet tall, and so we had to deal with them. And my character, of course, with the dwarf gnome nation deep underground, that you could enter through the mountain that Jeff's character on. So my character had his laptop. Yeah, make me this. So I'm riding around in a cyclone with sci-fi weapons made by this dwarf gnome nation, and Amber's playing Nova, Dex's girlfriend, and make me this suit from this anime, and we're researching because It was 2012 when this apocalypse hit on Maze World. So Amber and I are having to do research on, okay, we have to do stuff that came out before 2012 because after December 2012, yeah, the last MCU movie was The Avengers. There's no MCU after this. We cannot reference anything after, The Avengers. And so, oh God, Amber, can you tell me the name of so Kemi too far or something like that? It was this suit where it's an anime where she can access the dream world and the real world, and so the suit that this character made, yeah, Amber, if you can, give me that name again in the chat. And so I'm having to research pre 2012 anime, and Amber sends me a picture of this suit, and I'm making it, and it's all stealth, and I want blades out the front, and we found this creature that had a paralytic poison, and so I'm playing this character Dex, and yeah, and this is my girlfriend, and it just, I got to play a romantic relationship, which I don't get to do very often, and it was me reacting to, okay, I'm doing my show and I can't do. It was pre 2012, it was the Gantz suits. But the name of the anime that you got this suit from, that's what I'm trying to remember the name of it and the character's name and all this. And well, it was pre 2012 because we couldn't come up with an anime for anything after 2012. Futaba Persona 5, thank you. That Persona 5, if you know the game, and Futaba, that suit with the eyepiece, and it was like a green bodysuit, and she was kind of bookish and afraid and everything, and something happened to her mother. So we used the suit, and I made up stats for it. And just Amber's just slicing and dicing with this paralytic poison and making, costumes and all this because she was a seamstress and a cosplayer. And we would be, and the character, we planned, I had this character, and we planned out a wedding in Calhoun, Georgia, and the Southern mentality. Oh, well, you just got to have this dress. I'm making my own dress. P5 is post 2012, but the suit is much like the Gantz suits. Okay. So, this character, me, where I'm, okay, we got to be a groom, and Cornell, and, Cornell's my best man, and Desmond over there. Desmond? It began with a D. I'm trying to remember the name of Z's character, but it was this. He wasn't openly gay when all this came out. It came out later. Oh, that he was your partner and all this, and yeah. But so we're running this wedding, and it's like, okay, God, I'm checking out, suits to wear, and we're in our little chat, and we're throwing, I'm doing, because I've been married twice myself. Amber is married, so it's like, yeah, it's like we're planning a wedding, and so I'm sitting there, but yeah, this is my suit and all this, and she's bringing a dress, and of course, the character made the dress, So yeah, just the Mary Sue concept. It's not a recurring character so much, but because in the Sunday games, I'm having to run a little more. It's just like my Sunday games seem to be a lot busier than my other ones, and it was a lot of times also Gina and I were co-GMing, but I was doing the majority of the stuff, and Gina would sort of be at the opposite end of the table, kind of like. I can't really give a fraction like, oh, it was 50-50 or 60-40 or 70-30, but I kind of was doing the lion's share of the work, and then Gina was doing the rest, Perky Goth. Some of that was on my wedding's Pinterest board, yeah. Oh, no, I believe it, yeah. So, my Mary Sue's, as I said, there was the Maze World one, there was the Maze World, that was Dex. Time Lords and Magic, I forget who that was. I'm blanking, I'd have to look back, and then now for this Amethyst with Trevor and Nephith, I'm playing Trevor Polk. And again, I bring in all just Downriver Detroit. My great aunt Kate has, made the key lime pie to beat all. I went to Belleville High School. I graduated in this year. Or I'll do it as, okay, it's sort of a male alternate version of my child. So, yeah. The parents of this character were actually me and my ex. Trevor, again, it was a T name and Time Lords. Yeah, I'm blanking too. Yeah, it's been a while since and running 4 campaigns. I'm kind of, I forget details more because I'm juggling 4 campaigns, 4 bi-weekly campaigns. But, might have been Travis in Time Lords? Might have been Travis, and I did, and yeah, and so, but it's like in I'm running a Mary Sue character in the Thursday game, Daniel Stewart, and he was somebody I wrote in original. Travis, maybe, yeah. I tend to run the Mary Sues as a GMPC because it's something I know I can play. It's quick, it's easy, it's me. I can just throw in pieces of my life, and I don't have to pull the same pieces. I'm 54. I've had a pretty decent life. Excuse me. I can sit there and say, okay, this one I can draw from my time at EMU going for a criminology degree, and this one, the Time Lords game, Travis, I drew from my time at Napa. Matter of fact, Gina and I found a warehouse, and the first adventure was, yeah, it's a warehouse and it's a distribution center and packages are going in and out. We find this one weirdly boxed package and we find out it's magic items. And I threw in a Neogi and an Umber Hulk. We're all working there Saturday morning, very early, getting OT. And we're hearing stuff in the back, and we thought we were the only ones there, and we see invisible beings lifting and opening this thing that we couldn't open. And we look, and oh crap, it's... And I mean, we drove a high-low into this creature to try to stop it and everything, and ended up blowing the place up, and we had to hide, and I'm having my brother Harold play a werewolf character from Storyteller, and I just play Mary Sue's in the Sunday games because of all the planning Gene and I do, and I'm doing the lion's share of the GMing. I need an easy character. And there is no easier character to play than one based on you. Because you don't have to come up with a lot of background, you lived it. And so a lot of my players, especially in the Sunday game, they're real, okay, it's like, okay, we know he did this. Yes, we know the character had this. Yes, we know that for playing the future version of me or my descendant, okay, your parents went through a divorce when you were, 3. And so, yeah. And what it is, the Mary Sue of that is, if you're 18 to 22-year-old me, super witchy hippie, Nova, 23 to 30-year-old me, cosplay Chaos Goblin, Nephith me now. I'll be a bog witch and mess you up, but my friends get the heals and buffs. I'm sorry, I'm trying to... No, I have no problem with this, Amber. You're contributing to this. Thank you. So yeah, playing Mary Sue characters in a way they're an iconic character because it's variations on a theme. Hi, I'm that theme. Hi, so those are often, if you want to... And here's the thing. If you have iconic characters in your campaign, and if you have a means to bring these characters back into, like, if I use Fringeworthy as my network, and again, there will be the night where I show you the big blue binder, where it's just this big blue 3-ring binder, and I printed out all of Rich's Portals books, and I've written information on all the various worlds and the intellectual properties I put. Oh, this world looks like I could put a Star Wars world here. Or, oh, look, Star Trek Kelvin Universe from Portals 3. Rich put it in there, and it's the Riverside Bar. And so, yeah. And so you can bring these iconic characters and switch them around. It's like, yeah, you got shot through, went through the fringe paths or, plane shifted or whatever. Oh, and he's back. And it's a comfortable character. These iconic characters, everybody has them. It's either an archetype that they play, like my kid Shelly will play female elven blonde archers. And that's just something that Shelly does very well. And when Shelly was in my Saturday game years ago when I had Visitation, I always knew Shelly would make a blonde because it would work. And everybody has that certain type of character like to play. Or that certain type, like Fur will often play characters we see in movies, and I'll translate them over. Or just iconic characters. In some way, they are a piece of ourselves that we want to bring to light. Schwad, it would be my love of Tritac and Fringeworthy and all of that. That's why I play Schwad. It's because it's that game that needs to get out there. That is why I hold Tritac games and its products so dear. Because I've just integrated I've plugged everything I have into this massive framework that Richard Tahalka made in the early 80s. And it has served me well in ways that I will probably never fully comprehend. But these iconic characters are just fun for the players because they get to see these characters. Oh, when the sounds, because I do most of my games on Skype. My Thursday and Friday games are on Skype. Saturday and Sunday are a little more in person, and that's evolving out of the pandemic. All my games for a while were pandemic. It was maybe at the most Fur would be here. And then just, and it was something Fur said. She goes, "You don't GM, you don't just GM, you perform." And that look, it got in my soul. It was horrible. And even there, it's like, I had to look back and do it. You goddamn right. Yeah. And so these iconic characters, and it was so funny when, oh, something's happening. Wait a minute. And I brought it in to where one of the characters saw Schwad. He was invisible, but this one character see. And here's Carrie. And Amber's role play with Carrie in the time she was in the Friday game. And she's typing privately, "Yeah, Schwad is back! Yeah!" And I'm just like, okay, you all need to just, it's like the Fallout figure. Hold up, with the hands bent back like this, hold up. But no, you get that rush that these characters, the players love them. Then there's characters like Blue Boy where they all think, yeah, no, he was killed and he's coming back. Oh, he's a time traveler. Yeah, both Trav, you both in that character can go to the all-you-can-eat dick buffet. Here's a 2-for-1 coupon. And no, I haven't been told that before. But no, iconic characters, when you play them right, even if it's, you're on Skype or Discord, who is the dumb lizard? You know who the dumb lizard was from that Friday game? Tugin. Tugin was a character that a friend of a friend, Brian Jeske, came up with. And so I brought it into an FTL game because that's where he came from. And I told Gina Jones, who's in the Friday game, about Tugin. She goes, "I'll be in this FTL game if you play Tugin." And I played it, and Amber was in for a bit, and we had a blast. And Tugin, I knew he was a return character. I don't know. I can't call him an iconic character because he's not mine. He is the property of Brian Jeske, but I've been trying to track him down. I can't find him. I tracked down his wife, Julie, but she's not. I don't think she realizes who I am or has forgotten who I am because Brian Jeske and I had a mutual friend, my late roommate, Brian Trudell, one of my original gamers I lost like 4 or 5 years ago. And so I decided I'm going to use Tugin. I want to run an FTL game. FTL 2448 is another Tritech game. And so Tugin, and just his real name was Slarg Skullcrusher, but he was that dumb where he just referred to himself in the third person as his racial name. The race is known as Tugins. And so he's like, "Yes, Tugin, fix," which usually means he's going to whoop your ass. I can't call him an iconic character because he's not mine. But these iconic characters, if you bring them back and if you hint at it, you'll get players. Oh, wait, you're bringing him back? As I said, Carrie lit up when she realized I was bringing Schwad into the Hardwire Internet games. And just because she interacted with Schwad in the Star Trek game, she was playing a Betazoid Noble, Kethra Varys Lamal. And so got to interact with Schwad, and I said, "No, Schwad," and I was like, "I don't know, Carrie, Schwad might come back someday." And then when she realized it was him, "Oh, yeah, you brought him back." And I'm just having fun playing Schwad. Silas, I'm going to have fun because I'm going to bring him back. And, of course, JT, as I said, that's been that character from like 30 years before. And, of course, Mary Sue characters, it seems to be a Sunday tradition for me that I just play these characters. It's easy, it's quick, it's based on me. I know what it is. Just make up this particular facet. Or how did Rich put it? Take something mundane and hang it on the peg of the fantastic, make it better. So, yeah. All right. We are about ready to wrap this up. It is 9:59. And yeah, I've still not come up with an outro phrase. I will let you know that I will be back on here tomorrow night because over Twitch here, I do my internet radio show that I've been doing for 17 and a half years, the Travcast, Part 3 of Blind Wolf's Rubber Room Association, here on DementiaRadio.org, Tuesdays, 8 to 10 p.m., so I will be back tomorrow night, and then next week, again, I will be back here on Twitch tomorrow night to do the Travcast with Jeff DeReff and Breakman Z. You might hear Professor Pixie in the background. They have Twitch channels too. Now, right now, yeah, it's kind of slow. The Hughes, Jeff and Pixie, they have a new kid. Z is working and everything. Check out their channels for their old stuff. They're far better at Twitch than I am. And so the campaign stuff, the campaign notes will be back next week. And just, yeah, role-playing is collective storytelling. Get together with some friends and tell a good story. I think I may have just found my new outro. Just, yeah. Gaming, tabletop role-playing is collective storytelling. Get together with some friends and tell a good story. There you go. There's my outro. Found it. Okay, got it. Yes. So I'm out of here. It is 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, I want to thank everyone for tuning in and watching this later down the line. I hope you find some things that'll help you be a better game master, better player. So I have no idea what that ping was, but I am out of here. Again, tomorrow night for the Travcast here on this Twitch channel, and then next Monday night, new topic. I've got a bunch lined up. I got some things I want to do, things I want to get off my chest about tabletop gaming and whatnot, and things to do with it. So you'll find out next week for that here on Campaign Notes. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night, all.